first of all, so the topic today is how to improve your profile page. And as I said before, if you're not listed on the directory, we've all got LinkedIn pages, so a lot of, or LinkedIn profiles, so a lot of the information I'm going to share with you today is very relevant to your LinkedIn profile. First of all, photographs. Now, I just pulled out some very random photographs from the directory. I know some of you are going to recognise your photographs on there, which is great. And what you will notice is all of these photographs are very engaging and you're all smiling, which is brilliant. And so I'd like you to reflect, if you haven't done recently, reflect on your photograph on here. Sorry, I've lost you all now just for a moment. Yeah, reflect on your photograph and think, what does your photograph say about you? Because I think that's quite important. We like photographs of people and we are quite fickle in a way, and we will be attracted to people who are looking approachable and happy and smiling. So just give you some thinking about that. Let's move on to the next slide. Here we go. When somebody comes to the directory, more often than not, if they haven't just found you on Google and they've gone straight to your profile page, they're going to come to this page. And depending on the list of coaches that comes up will depend on what somebody puts into the location. Most people will typically put a location in. They might put in a particular type of coach, an executive coach, a leadership coach, career coach, etc. And they may or may not refine their search. So these are the specialist areas. So they might be saying they're looking for team coaching or leadership or how to handle conflict. So that's where they're refining the search. And depending on what they put in will depend on who comes up on the list. Now, to be honest, I can't remember exactly what I put in to get this slide. But what I wanted you to notice was this first list that comes up. And more often than not, you're going to be in a list like this. So Isabel, you can see yourself there. Now, in this list, what are you noticing? And I'd like to just get my chat screen up if I can. Any comments here on what you're noticing about this list? What stands up to you? Nikki, I can see you waving. Shout out.
Only because I know you badgered me for ages to get it on. Isabel has no star rating.
Yeah, and the star rating relates to the reviews. So Isabel, I know you've only been on the directory for a short time. It's so important to get reviews on your profile page. I had no idea who was going to turn up today. So Isabel, this wasn't to highlight to you. I was just looking for somebody who didn't have reviews on there. So that's a little note to self to get some reviews. And if you want some wording for that, let me know and I'll send you just a sample wording. What else are you noticing on this page? What else stands out to you? Anyone can unmute and shout out. Anybody else?
Location stands out, I think, and the fact that the titles executive coach and leadership coach are all the same, really, don't really stand out. But I don't know if that's relevant. Okay, well, let's just address the location first. As many of you know, once you first register on the directory, whatever your home postcode is that you put into the directory, that's what generates the address. And quite often it will come up with, you know, your village or town, or if you're in central London, which in fact, I know Jackie, Isabel, Richard, Rachel, they're all central London because I actually looked for the London coaches. Your address will generate that location, but we can override that because most coaches will say, you know, well, I live in Bicester, but actually I go to London, I go to Edinburgh, I go to Manchester. And so you can actually, we can change that for you. So if you are not happy, and we probably would have had a conversation anyway, but if your sort of broad location, and we just asked for 3 locations, if your location isn't what you want, have a chat with me and we can get that changed. What happens though, once your location is changed, the URL, i.e. the link to your profile page, will change. And again, I'll let you know about that. So we want to keep it short-ish. So for example, Rachel's got London, Peterborough and Leeds. So Rachel's URL will be something along the lines of trustedcoachdirectory.com/coach/
Rachel Bamber / London / Peterborough / Leeds. So it becomes quite long. So we like to keep it quite short. The key messages here is really the reviews. Make sure you've got reviews on here. And Jackie's got one review. She's got a review, which is great. I would be aiming for 3 or 4 reviews is plenty. Some people, I'm going to be really sexist here, men seem to be very competitive, and there are quite a few male coaches who have got 15, 16, 17 reviews on their profile page, which is fantastic. And it will show up on this list how many reviews you've got, but actually on your profile page, it will only show 10 maximum. And the most recent one will go at the top, so they keep shuffling down. Gary, I think you mentioned about the names executive coach, leadership coach. That relates to your preferred coach type. So you will have ticked a box to say which is your preferred coach type. Jackie here, you know, she is first and foremost a leadership coach, but that +3 more, she's probably ticked performance coach, executive coach, and career coach. So that's what it is. So what's in bold depends on your preferred, your main type of coaching. Let's just move on to the next page. Here, now, while we're also here, because this page is really important, because when you're coming up on the directory, and I'm sorry, this doesn't apply to the community coaches because you're not on here yet, you are typically 99% of the time going to come up in a list of half a dozen, if not 10 other coaches. And what's really important here, in addition to your photograph, which we talked about, your reviews, the type of coach you are, your location, is that little snippet profile of what you say about yourself. Now, if you have a look at Nick's, what I call snippet profile, so these are 12 words that you use, and actually you can think about this in terms of your LinkedIn profile. This is the first glimpse that a visitor gets of you, and it's going to differentiate you from other people. So if you look at what Nick has said about himself in those 12 words, what Dan said, what Lynn has said, have a look at those, just have a little scan through. And I'm going to take you back to the previous, and what Rachel said, what Richard said. I'm just interested in your comments about those. Anything that you're noticing?
So what I notice is on this page, people talk a little bit more about specifically what they do and what they bring,
Yeah,
and the difference they make.
yeah,
Whereas the second page was more just a description of the sorts of coaching.
yeah.
Which is a repetition of the title anyway.
Exactly, and I think we might have talked about this, Isabel, possibly, or maybe not, but what you've done, Isabel, if we can use you as a great example, what Isabel's done is use this intelligently, using the word intelligent, and it describes Isabel. Isabel's an intelligent, bold, and present coach providing loving challenge and insightful listening. Now, as I'm reading this, that gives me a really good snapshot of what Isabel's about. I'm sure it does to the others of you as well. Richard, he's talking about, he's a coaching psychologist specializing in well-being, productivity, and professional effectiveness. You know, each of these is giving you a much better idea of who that person is. And it, for me personally, it would compel me. I would want to go and click on Isabel's profile to find out more. Now, when we look at the next page, and I say this was quite a random thing, but it's interesting what the similarities. Nick and Lynn are not here to defend themselves, and what they've done is actually just not told me anything new. So Nick has told me that he's an experienced and accredited leadership coach, etc. Well, you are all, if you're on the directory, you're all experienced, and you're not all accredited, but you're all highly qualified. And you're actually a leadership coach or an executive coach. Having said that, I know Nick's a coach supervisor, and I know he gets some really, good business from the directory. Looking at Lynn's profile, again, she's done the same kind of thing. The only thing differentiating Lynn is that she's a specialist in clean coaching, and she's an author. And I could say that snippet could be better for Lynn, but actually I know she's had a big chunk of work. One very big piece of work from the directory. So I couldn't say to her, well, your snippet's not working for you, but hopefully you're getting a feeling for what I'm saying. So let's move on to my next slide. So that's about your snippets. So I pulled out this slide for Sue. Sue's got a great profile. So this is Sue's profile page. When we look at this, again, we've put in the location for Sue. Sue's based in Wallingford, which is quite local to me, but that in itself might not mean to anybody in Aberdeen or Penzance. And so we've got a broader area for her. Sue's got 12 years experience of coaching. Sue's also a founder member and has probably been on the directory for 3 years. Now, I don't know if Sue's updated this. So if you're on the directory, Nikki, it's worth going back and having a look at, you probably need to update the years of coaching that you've got. Now, also, you'll notice here to the right where it says years of coaching, there's a little person there that says face-to-face. This is the type of coaching you do, face-to-face telephone coaching. Now, we all, I mean, anyone, just shout out if you do not do telephone or Zoom, i.e. video conferencing coaching. Is there anybody who doesn't do telephone or video conferencing? Can't hear anything. Okay, so you all do, you know, remote coaching. So what we're doing, what I didn't want to do is email all the coaches on the directory and saying, please go and change, add in video conferencing and telephone to your profile. So we're doing that behind the scenes. So it's taking a bit of time because it's a bit of a long-winded process. So we're going and changing that to make sure that everybody is found if somebody's looking for a remote coach and they don't mind about location, because there's a criteria for that. That's the face-to-face coaching. The other thing that's important on this one, and I can see a chat coming up, so bear with me where I have a look at that, because I can't multitask. Okay, thank you, Nikki. Great. The other thing I wanted to highlight on this is Sue writes blogs. Now, Sue's been on the directory, as I said, for about 3 years. Sue writes a blog, I haven't worked out exactly, but about every 4 or 5 months, she pops a blog in there. And you probably know from stuff that I've emailed out before is that I really encourage you to write a blog, because what that does, and think about this for your LinkedIn profile as well, when you write a blog, not only, and I must just say, to put a blog on the directory, please read the guidelines. Before you upload a blog, there's a box that you tick to say, yes, I've read the guidelines. We all tick these boxes and we don't want to read the small print. They are just very practical guidelines, and it saves me coming back to you saying, I'm really sorry, I can't put this up because it's a marketing pitch. Because a blog, as you all know, is about adding value, and it's demonstrating your area of expertise, and it's giving people something to think about, and it's maybe sharing some tips. And I know as coaches we don't tell people what to do, but people read a blog and they like to have some kind of guidance or some tips from what they perceive to be as experts. So have a look at the guidelines for blogs. What's great about the blogs is it goes on your profile page. So the blogs that Sue has written are always going to be on her profile page. And it's like if you add a blog, an article to your LinkedIn profile, it's always going to be on there. People will be able to see what you've written. And what this does, it gives you a much better understanding of what Sue does and the kind of work she does and who she does it for. The other great thing about blogs is that we can then promote them on social media. So the stuff that we put out on LinkedIn, primarily on LinkedIn, that's the one I'm more concerned about because that's where your potential clients are. We will put links back. We'll put something on LinkedIn, a bit of an intro to your blog and say, this was written by Sue Winton. Click on this link and it takes you to Sue's blog. So it's raising your profile. The directory is all about raising your profile. And then someone can find out more about that blog, and then there's a link from the blog back to Sue's profile. So it's all made, it's really trying to join up the dots for you. The other thing with what I call good quality blogs that really add value, I will put those in our newsletter that go out to our client database. We've got a database through generating those connections through LinkedIn, database of about 1,500, it's about 1,500 HR senior leader type contacts. And I email them, sending out a newsletter every other week, virtually twice a month. And one of those newsletters includes a blog from somebody on the directory. without a doubt. I haven't got time to be writing blogs. I'm not the expert. You guys are the experts. And it's about raising your profile. So it's adding value to the reader. And yes, okay, 20-25% of people open the newsletter. That's not a bad percentage when it's going out to 1,500 or so HR type, senior leader type people. So if you haven't written a blog, not everybody's into writing, but if you are, please upload a blog. You don't have to do it every week or every month, but every 3 or 4 months is great. If you all did it every month, I'd be going, no, I haven't got time for this, and everyone's in a holding pattern, and because I like to spread them out a little bit. So just some thoughts about blogs. What else do I want to tell you about Sue's profile? I think blogs are the main thing for this one. Let's move on to the next one. So Lindsay's profile. You'll see on Lindsay's profile, hopefully it's come up. So Lindsay writes blogs now and again, which is great. And I know her blogs have gone out on client newsletters. Lindsay also promotes events. And her events, you might have seen them on a newsletter. She does events on creativity, and she does them with another coach, Christina, who's not on the directory, who used to be my coach supervisor, who's brilliant. Lindsay does some great workshops around creativity. In fact, she did one of our Wednesday morning sessions. I don't know if anybody was in that, but great, brilliant session. So when you upload an event, as you can see here, it goes onto your profile page. When an event goes up here, I let Lynn know, who does social media. We'll promote those on LinkedIn, so it raises your profile. And also, one of those newsletters that goes out to our client database is all about events, whatever events people are running on the directory, coaches are running on the directory. Now, it always seems to me, interestingly, there are more events for coaches than there are for leaders. And so please, if you run events, a workshop, a webinar, a program for leaders, please upload them to your directory, because it's a great way for me to raise your profile. And what I'm going to invite you to do now, I'll talk about multitasking, I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment, because I just want you to go and have a little chat with each other. Dave, I don't know if you're still there or if you're still eating. Hopefully you're still there, because I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. Just checking, you see.
I was eating.
That's fine. I'm going to put you into breakout rooms of, I don't know, it's going to be 2s or 3s, and literally just give you just 5-6 minutes. It's going to be totally random, because I haven't got time to be shutting people around. I'm just going to put you into breakout rooms. I'm going to pause the recording just for a moment. All right, so let's move on to the next piece. And the other thing that I just wanted to mention about here, not just about Lindsay's profile, a really important piece of your profile page is the About Me section. And this is the place where your potential clients are going to come and have a look. And this is where they're going to have a look, obviously, on your LinkedIn profile, where it talks about the description of who you are and what you do. You'll see here on Lindsay's profile, it's got in much an emboldened title here for Career Coach, Bucksbox and London. We put this in for you, and this is all to do with the SEO, the search engine optimization, because each page on the directory is optimized for certain key terms. And so for Lindsay's profile, we've optimized it for Career Coach and her locations. And so it's important. So Career Coach and those locations, as I said before, they're going to be in her URL, which is right at the top, the link to her profile. You'll also see it's at the top next to a photograph. Career Coach is in bold, the Bucksbox and London is in bold. And it just means that if somebody is looking for a career coach and just put in box, then her profile is more likely to come up on Google. So just to say, when you see that, and if you're going to update your About Me section, please don't change that, because we've updated that for a reason. Now, I don't want to go through anybody's About Me section in particular, because it takes time to read it. What I would just like to say about this section, and the same applies to LinkedIn, is your About Me section, although it's called About Me, it's not just about you. it's about, it's connecting with your ideal client. So you need to think about, be very clear on who you're looking to attract to your profile. Who's your ideal client? What do they do? What are their challenges? Who do they work with? Where do they work? What's their role? Because whoever lands, when your ideal client lands on your profile page, maybe because they've read a blog that you've written and they know you get what their challenges are or what their industry is about, when they come onto your profile page, they want to know that you work with people like them. So I'd always, and I mean, this is probably a workshop in itself, writing the About Me section. And I've done, you know, lots and lots of training in sales and marketing and how to pitch and how to introduce yourself. And to pitch could be your 10-second elevator pitch, or it can be 30 seconds, it can be 2 minutes, it could be 2 hours, depending what you're pitching for. But the first thing you have to do is just say, just in a nutshell, you know, who you are. You need to establish credibility very quickly, who you are and what you do. The important thing there is saying who you work with, who your ideal clients are. So if you work with senior leaders in education, that needs to be quite prominent. So who you work with, why do they come to work with you? What are their challenges? What are they aspiring to get? So what is their motivation for working with a coach? And then you can start talking about what it is that you do to help those clients and what are the results your ideal clients get when they've worked with you. And that can all be in your About Me section. And then you start building in more about your coaching philosophy, your personality. And importantly, if you're very new to the directory, and Isabel, I know you haven't got the reviews there yet, you can actually just take a copy and paste a snippet from a LinkedIn recommendation and bring it into your About Me section. And you can do that even if you have got reviews on your profile page, but obviously it takes up room. And the important thing on your About Me section, I shall come back to that, is finishing it off with a call to action. Let's just go ahead here. So you'll see this is Amanda Bolger's profile. So it's, even though there's a call to action, as in there's a little button to send a message or to get contact details, people need to know what the next step is. So once they've read about you, it's always helpful to say, right, now you've read about me, and if you want to find out more, come and look at my LinkedIn profile or get in touch with me. And just let them know what the next step is going to be. Is it going to be a chat? Is it going to be half an hour? Is it, you know, set up a Zoom call? You use the terminology that works for you. You know, I can give examples, but it needs to be very bespoke to you. So always make sure your About Me section, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's on your profile page, make sure that there's a call to action. And also it's useful, and again, you know, we'll do it as often as we can on your About section. Make it readable. Don't have a great big block of writing. Break it into paragraphs. Put subheadings in if you want to. It just makes it more readable. Those of you who are wizzy on the technology, you know, you can embolden things. You can use your HTML tags. Some people can do that. Not everybody can. If you want to do that, feel free. Or, you know, we can do that for you. While we're on Fiona's profile, the other thing I just wanted to highlight on here is the qualifications section. Again, you're on the directory. It means that you are more than qualified to be on the directory. So it says you've got qualifications anyway. People will like to see those. They're not going to ask you for your certificates, but it's worth just listing out any qualifications that you've got that inform your coaching. You know, I'm not worried. We don't want to know if you've got a, you know, a qualification in, I don't know, building tents or, you know, camping or whatever it might be. But anything that informs your coaching, put it on this list here. Let's just move on to here. This one for John. Also, you have got the option on your profile page, as you will have on LinkedIn, to add a video. Now this needs to be either a YouTube link or a video link, I think. And you'll see here, John has actually got, it's a very professionally done video. And I recommend you go and have a look at it. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. You could probably set this up at home. And Dave, I know, does a lot of videos. And Dave, I don't know if you've got a video on your profile page, but if you haven't, you've got loads of clips. I'm sure you could update this, because again, it gives people more of a feel for who you are, because we can't see very much from a photograph. You can see a nice smiling face, but when you're talking and you're telling somebody, ideally on your profile page under 60 seconds, because we want to move on quite quickly, but we get a feel for your personality and your passion and what it is that you do and who you do it for. John's got a great video here. I strongly recommend that you go and have a look at it. In addition to Amanda's got a great one, and again, it just gets that personality across. So give it a go, and yeah, if you can, get yourself a little video up there. And also, if you're uploading a video, let me know, because I don't always get notified when you upload a video. Let me know, and then we can promote that on LinkedIn again for you. So this is all about raising your profile. Just keeping an eye on time. It's funny, as I look, because I'm looking at my screen here and I can see the time. It says 16:19, and I know it's not only 4:20, so I need to make sure I'm looking at the right time for today's purposes. I've just done a screenshot here of our events page, just to remind you, as you talked about a moment ago, think about what events that you can put up for leaders. So we've only recently just put it in, saying what the event or who the event is for. Some webinars, workshops could be for coaches or for leaders, in fact. So like the Shifting Paradigms workshop there, could be either for leaders or coaches, or it's for coaches, but you'll see the majority of these are for coaches. So if you're doing stuff for leaders, please get it up there and we can promote that for you. The other thing I just wanted to remind you about, you are members of the directory, whether you're a community member or a listed member, and you have got access to resources that other people don't have access to. And we've got a bank of probably 25 now expert interviews, and Jackie has done these interviews with a range of people. They're all marketing focused pretty much, or people, coaches who've been successful, and they share what it is that they've done to be successful. And I have to watch every one of these before I publish it on the directory. So quite often, I have to admit, I'm there maybe doing a bit of ironing, do a bit of multitasking. So I watch these, but I'm always stopping to jot down some ideas. So they're full of useful information. So make the most of these.
Helen, can I just ask you a quick question?
Please, yes.
I like the idea of obviously putting up events and things like that. Where we've run an event in the past, like one of my webinars, and I've got a recording on my website, is there a way of linking that? Because obviously at the moment your events are all future focused.
Yeah, that's
nice
true.
To say.
What you could put the URL in your About Me section. I'll tell you what else you could do, Gary. You could upload it as a resource. So from your profile page, log into your profile page at the back, click on Add a Resource. It won't show on your profile page because we made a decision. We could only list the blogs and the events on your profile page. So we decided not to show the resources, but you can upload a resource and you could just do an introduction, add an image, because we've just started adding images to them. Do an introduction to it and then put a link to that event that's been recorded.
Okay, thank you. Or perhaps blog on it, include the link in a blog.
Or you could include the link in the blog, as long as the blog it's not a marketing pitch, as long as it's adding value. That's absolutely fine.
I understand.
Yeah, great, lovely, thanks, great question. I also just wanted to highlight on the resources page, again, these are member-only resources. These are discounted resources. For example, Balance do insurance. They're insured. I mean, you need to check that you've got enough. Nikki, I know you're there. I'll just come back to you. Balance do a very good rate on insurance. Just make sure you get the colour. Balance, their specialist areas are in therapists and health professionals, and I really challenge them whether they're insurance covers executive coaching, leadership coaching, because their terminology was all about therapists, and they assured me absolutely yes it does. So if you're coming up for renewal for insurance, go and check them out, because it is an exceptionally good rate. And they do a good rate anyway, even if you're not a member, but it's an even better rate for being a member. If you're thinking of revamping your website or getting a new website, have a look at NerdCow, lovely name, is the company who designed the directory and who still support the directory and develop the directory. They are very bespoke, they do bespoke product for you, and they charge what they're worth. And then there's another special offer if you just want a very, I'll say quick and dirty, doesn't really do it justice, but if you want a quick website and you just want a presence, then go and talk to Mark, who does a website, 5 pages for £500. So the stuff on there does special, special offers. And there are other resources. Now, if you have written a book, if the stuff that you've got that you want to share with other people on the directory, just upload it as a resource. And again, that gives us stuff to, we can share that on LinkedIn, we can share it on Twitter. It raises your profile. So anything that you might like to add as a resource, like Simon has done here, tools of the trade, go and have a look at that. That's great. I've got these coaching cards, which is not from somebody who's on the directory, but it's a nice resource for coaches to have. And I think there's a discount there for you. But, if you want to raise your profile more, get something on the resources page. Blogs we have talked about. What else? I think that's it really. And we're coming to the end of our time. Nikki, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to say, going back to the expert interviews,
yes,
that they're a really good resource from a CPD point of view. So with my accreditation hat on, those of us that are keeping logs of our continuous professional development, keep a record of all the videos, expert interviews and things that you've watched, because that's all enhancing the CPD profile.
Brilliant. That's a really good, really good tip. Thanks for that, Nikki. I will remember that and I'll tell everybody else. So we have literally got, we are back to normal time now on my screen. We've got about 4 minutes left. Let's just quickly, does anybody have to dive off the call at 1 o'clock? Because if you do, I'll invite you just to share. I'm just interested to know, what are you going to go away and do as a result of this, if anything differently? You might think, oh, I know all of this, it's all in hand. But if there's just something you'd like to share that you're going to go away and do differently, please let us know. Does anybody have to disappear on the dot of 1 o'clock?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay, great. Go, Shirley.
I'm not going to do anything different right now. I think my thinking has changed. Well, because I think I'm at the stage where I'm kind of rethinking strategy and focus and having a marketing plan. So yeah, it's just rejigged my thinking of where TCD fits.
Fantastic. Shirley, that's a really good point, because don't forget, you can have a marketing review chat with me at any time. So if that would help, just book in some time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm in your area next week, so maybe.
Ooh,
okay.
Hey, yeah, well, we could even meet face to face. God, that would be a first for a while. Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Okay.
Thanks, Shirley. Nikki.
My light bulb was around the events, because I've got a number of excuse me, a number of sort of short talks that I do when I'm invited to seminars and conferences and things. All of those any of those I could do as online meetings, and one in particular that I know my niche like is the introduction to DISC. Having been a DISC specialist for over a decade, that's a short one to do. So my thinking is just put in the diary every other month an introduction to DISC online meeting that can be regularly promoted. It's an easy one for me to sort of run at regular intervals, and that one's for leaders. That's a great one for my executive audience.
Brilliant.
So huge light bulb.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Nikki. Great. Mike, how you doing?
Yeah, I think this is coming at a great time because Chris and I are starting to work together, and we were looking for ideas, and the events thing, and then certainly the webinars is a really good one. I've sat in a couple of Gary's and I've found them very useful. So that's something, and we were going to do our profiles anyway. So again, more ideas being really welcomed.
Lovely, thanks, Mike. Anyone else? Isabel, anything you'd like to share?
Just what I do have to jump off in a second, but yeah, no, I've got a few ready to go online workshops. I'm going to do that, and I'm definitely I wrote down everything you said about the ideal structure for a profile, so I'm going to go back and redo mine again, third go. Right. And it's reminded me about doing a video as well. So that's brilliant tips. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful.
Oh, good. Thanks, Isabel. Sue?
Yeah, echo. It's just all been so really useful. Thank you, Helen. Some things I thought, oh, I'm okay on that. Some things I thought, oh my goodness, I need to do that. So really, really helpful. Thank you.
Great. You're very welcome. Ian, anything for you?
Yeah, I've got a whole list of actions actually. But,
good.
And looking at that list of actions is because some of them are when I originally came to the coach directory, and I've not followed up on over the last couple of months. So, but the event one is the one that stands out for me as well. And blogging, okay. I've got lots of ideas for blogging, but I've not moved to actually action about those blogs. So, yeah. So I think the blogging and the events is probably the biggest area for me to move forward with. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Dave, anything for you? I know we did a review just last week, didn't we?
I think I'd like to get a video profile on both my profiles. You did say that I've got lots of videos, but I'd sooner be represented by my photograph.
Okay.
Because doing videos is, I find it really hard, really hard. My authentic self isn't shining through yet, but I want to get a video profile done.
Okay, great. Jacqueline, can you use some ideas for LinkedIn?
Yeah, I do write blogs. Started that I think in January or end of last year. There's one I'm about to do, which I was thinking of doing one whole thing, but I'm going to split it into two. Someone has suggested that I do a webinar for people who have lost their jobs through COVID. So I'm thinking about doing that. I've got a working title in my head, but I need to get structure around it. So yeah, those are good things for me.
Great, thank you. Gary.
Lots of ideas, please. Thank you, Helen. I think the main thing are thinking about. It was very much a sort of amateur nature thing. I think looking back, and I feel I should do so. I don't. So I need to look at the blog, review the profile. But I think it's the non-profile things for me from this session, so we'll remind.
Great, thanks, Gary. Oh, Chris, you haven't spoken, have you?
No, but very happy with the sort of session we had. As I say, Mike and I we're about to have a discussion this afternoon at 3:30 as what's next. So yeah, I mean, it's a good time.
Great, lovely. Everyone's shared, am I right? As I'm doing my multitasking and ticking off. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your presence, for being here, and it's great to know that you're taking at least something away with you, and it's been of some use. And I will check the recording, and I might just. Sorry, you're going to say, Sue?
Well, we always have a round of applause, don't we, for the presenter? So I think we should include it in the recording.
Oh, thank you very much, Isabel. Very kind of you. Love that. Great. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thanks, Helen.
put a note up on LinkedIn. It's all great just to get your comments, because that really raises the profile of the LinkedIn and the directory and you guys. So thank you in advance for that. And see you on Wednesday, when Sue, in fact, is going to be in the hot seat talking about team coaching. Tell you more about that. That would be great. Lovely. Lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for coming today. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.